Welcome back. Let's take a look at some sports now. Here's Charles Eruka.
Welcome to Sports News. Super Eagles coach Sunday Oliseh has praised Swaziland for giving his team a tough fight in Tuesday's World Cup qualifier return leg in Port Harcourt. The three-time African champions scored twice in the second half to go past the Sehlangu and advance to the next stage of the qualifiers for Russia 2018. Nigeria and 19 other countries will now slug it out in the group phases of qualifiers next year. And elsewhere on the continent, Claude Leroy has resigned as coach of Congo-Brazzaville after securing a place for the country in the final qualifying round of the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Leroy has coached at a record 8 African Nations Cup finals, including winning the tournament with Cameroon in 1988. He only once failed to reach the quarterfinals of the Nations Cup and took Congo to the last 8th place at the tournament in Equatorial Guinea in January. Reports say he could take over as Cameroon boss again. Alexander Belinga is currently the interim coach of Cameroon, while the Football Association searches for a replacement. Andy Murray suffered a collapse in form as a rejuvenated Nadal won their group match at the ATP World Tour Finals in London. Nadal edged a tight first set and then raced clear in the second to win 6-4, 6-1 at the O2 Arena. Nadal remains on course to reach the semi-finals after a comprehensive win over the number 2 seed. Murray plays Stan Wawrinka in his last group match on Friday and can still progress. The 28-year-old Scot will travel to Belgium next week for Britain's first Davis Cup final since 1978.
Two sets to love, 6-4, 6-1.
And suspended FIFA executives Sepp Blatter and Michel Platini have had their appeals against 90-day provisional bans rejected by FIFA's appeals committee. Both FIFA executive members were provisionally suspended by the Ethics Committee over a £1.3 million payment made to the UEFA president in 2011 for work said to have been carried out more than 9 years ago. Platini and Blatter lodged appeals against the provisional suspension, and after these were rejected, they are now expected to take their cases to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. And that's it on Sports News. Is back to you, Joma, with the rest of the news at 10.
This is the ultimate redefined for men.
A woman believed to be a relative of Abdelhamid Aboud, the 8th suspect in the Paris attack, who is still at large, has blown herself up, and the police approached her in a residence during a raid. Here's Adeshawa Josh with more.
As the manhunt for Abdelhamid Aboud, the 8th suspect in the Paris attack on Friday, intensifies, a woman has blown herself up during a police raid on a flat in a Paris suburb. Another suspect was shot dead and 7 others have been arrested. Police targeted the flat in St. Denis in a search for the alleged mastermind of Friday's gun and bomb attacks. Abdelhamid's whereabouts is still unclear. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, while commenting on the incident, says Friday's attack was absolutely indiscriminate in an attempt to terrorize people.
It wasn't to aggrieve one particular sense of wrong. It was to terrorize people. It was to attack everything that we do stand for.
President Barack Obama has described the actions of some U.S. governors who are refusing to settle Syrian refugees as historical. He described their actions as a potent recruitment tool for Islamic State militants. The governors, mostly Republicans, have pressed for bans in their state since it emerged one of the Paris attackers may have entered Europe as a migrant. Senegal is planning to ban women from wearing the full-face Islamic veil in public in an attempt to curb jihadi activities. The Interior Minister, Abdoulaye Daouda, said the move should not be seen as anti-Islamic. If the plan becomes law, Senegal will be the 5th African state to restrict the wearing of a full-face veil. That's the foreign news wrap-up. Ijoma.
Thanks a lot, Adeshawa. And the main news again. Tragedy has hit Kano after a suicide bombing killed 11 people at a mobile phone market. 2 female suicide bombers are reported to have alighted from a car, entered the market and detonated their explosives. The former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, has replied the presidency's allegation of diversion of huge sums meant for the purchase of military hardware. Colonel Dasuki has insisted that he acted in national interest. And as the hunt for the mastermind of the terrorist attacks in Paris continues, a woman has blown herself up and another suspect has been shot dead by French police during a confrontation in a suburb of the French capital. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks a lot for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Hunyato. Good night.